Right, hello everyone, Jack from Peach Guitars here. Hope you're doing well. And today I want to walk you through one of the newest brands that we've taken on in store. I'm going to talk you through some Nik Huber guitars. But before I do so, as always, please like this video if you enjoy it and make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. So, as I've just said, I'm going to walk you through some of the fine offerings that we've received from Nik Huber Guitars. This is a brand that we've only just taken on at the start of 2020, and already we've been sent some of the very finest electric guitars we've ever seen as a store. The 5 guitars I've got in this selection today really just show you how versatile Nik Huber's offerings are. It's quite hard sometimes to pinpoint what a brand's identity actually is, and you'll be able to tell from the range of instruments here that not only do they try and avoid any cliches, and they don't look to simply recreate other brands' classic designs. They're really a very forward-thinking company that's just going to take the very best attributes they possibly can of all guitar making knowledge and prowess and just encapsulate it in the very best way that they can with that very highly revered German technology at the helm. So, as I hinted at there, in case you weren't aware, Nik Huber is a German brand. We don't often see many German guitar manufacturers, in fact, and that's quite a shame because most people will be aware of the incredible technical excellence that the Germans will display in the automotive industry and various other industries around the world. So it's about time that we started to see some great guitar offerings from them. And the proof is in the fact that these guitars not only play absolutely stunningly, they look fantastic as well. And every single one is built to an absolute T. They're flawless. They've got no imperfections going on. They're really just kind of as great as you can make an electric guitar. That is exactly what their mission statement was and still is, and has proven to be so. So let me just talk you through the different models I've got here. As I say, this is a new brand to us, so we're still gathering our inventory, but so far the stuff that we've seen has just been absolutely fantastic. So whatever comes next is just going to be more of a good thing. So I wanted to start by talking about this guitar, which is possibly the most kind of familiar and relatable to the classic guitar lover, I would say. This is Nik Huber's Twangmeister model, and they've all got great names as well, by the way. So this is the Twangmeister. Obviously the twang implies that it's based off a kind of T platform, though aesthetically it looks quite different. The only real giveaway is the fact that you've got a fairly familiar wood combination on this guitar of an older wood body, maple neck and rosewood fingerboard, and you've got a T-style pickup in the bridge. Everything else though is kind of Nik Huber's own designs and their own implementation of what they think would just naturally improve this kind of style of instrument. So it's still very simple, and it's probably the most simplified stripped back model here. You've still got the kind of classic T control plate as well, so 3-position switch, volume and tone. Interestingly, you've got a P90 pickup in the neck though for a bit of tonal variation. These are Hausel pickups, so made in Germany. So it's kind of a truly different take on this kind of guitar. It's not referencing a T in any way. The twang, I suppose, is a bit of a vague term, but you know, that's the closest reference point I can give you to what this guitar inevitably sounds similar to. Though the clips you're going to hear will show what I think all of these guitars possess, which is the fantastic ability to just have maximum versatility. In any kind of style you want to play, you get a huge articulation out of these guitars, you get a lot of top-end content, which isn't always easy to achieve, especially on some of the guitars that you're going to hear later with the really ornate finishes. You get a lot of clarity, and this particular guitar I think really excels at that, whether it's clean or with gain tones. A couple of other things I just want to point out about this guitar. This is actually a custom colour, which this very cool sunburst is not something that you see typically with Huber guitars, as you can tell from the rest of the guitars I've got here. This is really going for more of a vintage vibe. But then conversely, it's coupled with some really modern features like this hugely extended neck cutaway here for the upper fret access, and this very, very cleverly done beveled top as well. I don't know if you can see that in this shot, but you'll certainly see it on the images on our website. So the craftsmanship, even on an instrument as basic as a T-style guitar or a T-style influenced guitar, the craftsmanship is still absolutely top tier. You will not find a better crafted instrument than this in this kind of form. Okay, so I want to move along to another guitar. This is actually one of my favourite models of the whole Nik Huber collection. This is the Surfmeister, which is actually quite similar in many forms to the Twangmeister I showed you first. It's also quite similar to the guitars I'm going to show you later in terms of its body style. This, I guess, you could consider the Nik Huber signature shape for a lot of the work that they do. But the Surfmeister is an interesting guitar in that it kind of sits in a middle ground between what most people will be familiar with from different brands. So let me explain. In terms of the wood complement that you've got on this guitar, differs from the Twangmeister in the sense that this is a mahogany wood body with a maple top. So obviously kind of veering towards the Gibson school of thinking. This guitar is also semi-hollow. It's got a lot of acoustic resonance to it. And it really amplifies, as I said, those really extended highs, that uber clarity that you want to get. This guitar really pushes that forward with the benefit of the chambering in the guitar. Mahogany neck with a rosewood fingerboard, so again, fairly typical form. But then when you get to the pickup complement and the other kind of electronic stuff that's going on the guitar, you then sort of, this is where you veer off again into Nik Huber's own unique territory here. So you've got, again, Housel pickups on this guitar, a Tronebucker set. This is obviously a PAF style humbucker. And then you've got a very cool sort of TV Jones-esque pickup in the neck. So really interesting array of tones available on this guitar, which is furthered by the fact that you've got a coil tap on the tone, push-pull on the tone. So you can get a bunch of different sounds out of this guitar, all the way from very, very sparkly clean to very thick and overdriven. And then the clips you're going to hear, once again, you'll hear just how dynamic this is and how you always have that underlying crisp top end. That means that all the notes just jump straight off the fingerboard. Similarly to the Twangmeister, this guitar comes with 22 frets. It's 25.5-inch scale, so that extended scale obviously plays into the Fender school of thought of getting extra top end and clarity and note separation out of the guitar. And you've also got a compound 10 to 14-inch radius, which is very, very comfortable to play all the way. Okay, so moving along to this, the Rietbergen standard model. This, I think, is one of the coolest guitars that Nik Huber I've ever seen from them. This is their take on the semi-acoustic, classic full-size design. So much resonance and articulation with this guitar as well. All the stuff I've talked about with the previous models, obviously just amped up a little bit. You get a lot of extra tone out of this enlarged body size. Similar wood complement to the Surfmeister with a mahogany back with maple top, curly maple top in this case. Mahogany neck and a rosewood fingerboard. And just something that I didn't talk about with the Surfmeister, but it applies to this guitar as well, is just the kind of absolute perfection in the headstock design. It's a really ornate feature. Don't normally pay that much attention to headstocks, to be honest, but this is the kind of thing that really strikes you with these guitars, is the amount of detail that's gone into each one. Every component, you just get the impression, is meant to be there, and it's exactly the way it should be on a guitar. So as I said, tonally, this has got a huge amount of resonance. These actually come strung with slightly higher gauge strings from the factory. Not that it's uncomfortable to play in any way at all, it complements this style of instrument. You've got the full sort of Gibson style tailpiece on this guitar as opposed to the two wraparounds, or the wraparound on the Surfmeister that I showed you. So again, a bit of a different tone there. You've got two different Housel pickup models in this guitar, both humbucking and again with coil tap features by pulling the tone control. So I think you're going to hear in this video, I wanted to kind of get across the clarity that you get out of this guitar, which you don't always associate with a semi-acoustic because they sometimes can get a little bit muddy and indistinct. You don't have that whatsoever with this guitar. It has huge clarity, but it still remains full-bodied and natural sounding, and that's very much the Huber signature, very well exemplified in this guitar. Okay, so in case you thought the guitars I've shown you so far weren't quite special enough, let me show you now the serious stuff, if you like. This is where Nik Huber's really established their incredible craft as just making the most beautiful pieces of art that happen to be guitars as well. So this is where you start to see incredible attentions to detailing in the finishes. So this is a Redwood model with this amazing figured curly maple top. This is a one-piece top in this gorgeous finish. You know, you don't often see guitars with finishes like this, let alone guitars that have this kind of playability and this kind of spec. So the rest of it is fairly uniform to the Dolphin model, and you can tell from the inlays and the headstock inlay as well. This is very much part of the Dolphin family, which is a guitar I'm going to talk about next. This is kind of, I would say, the most iconic Huber guitar, and this is a great example of it. So you also see you've now got an ebony veneer on the headstock. You get some upgraded gold tuners and stuff like this. The hardware is all gold, of course, and you get these hand-finished knobs. All of these guitars are handcrafted, fully handcrafted, but the attention to detail in the minor things are not always things that you might consider on guitars. But when you just look at the inlay work on here, the fully dolphinized fretboard, it's just a super cool guitar. Above all else, though, all of those traits that I talked about tonally carry across. This has got super clarity. For a set neck single cut style instrument, you might not necessarily associate that with the sound. This guitar is particularly lightweight. I believe it's chambered, so that probably contributes to that, but it means that it's got a super amount of ringing inside it. It's just a very resonant instrument, but it's still very solid body in its tonality, as you're going to hear in this clip. I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about this guitar. It speaks for itself aesthetically and sonically as well, but when you just see stuff like the level of carving that goes into this top, which again you might not be able to see here, but you'll see on our website, it's really striking. And I'm not normally the kind of player that obsesses over the little details of instruments like this, but it's very striking. So not only does it sound great and play great, stuff like this is very impressive to behold just as someone who's looking at a guitar, so that's worth bearing in mind. Okay, so I'm going to end up here by talking about the most impressive Huber guitar that I'm going to show you today in terms of just the overall package and what the level of detail that goes into this. So continuing along the path of all things being considered in an instrument, every element is surmised in this Dolphin II super hollow model. The top has basically got the entire universe in it, and it's finished in their stone grey finish, which superbly complements this bowl top. You can't really do much better than this. Satin finish as well, which I think is an art in itself in creating this kind of level of amazing finishing, but in satin. I think it actually makes it pop a little bit more sometimes than gloss finishes do. So there's a few other crucial changes to the Dolphin II model over the Redwood model I just showed you. You've got a Madagascan rosewood neck on this guitar with these very, very cool silver sterling crown inlays on the guitar as well. So a couple of aesthetic differences. You've also got the finish from the body extending to the headstock with the magnificent mother of pearl inlay of the Dolphin there. Same kind of deal with the ebony appointments as well on the tuning pegs and the pot covers on the guitar. Wraparound tailpiece. The thing that strikes me the most about Huber is that they don't overcomplicate the things that don't need to be overcomplicated, and thus you don't get any kind of negation in the tone. It's all about making the instrument to be as beautiful as it possibly can, and nothing on there is going to choke it in that respect. Nothing's going to limit its ability as an instrument. It's only going to be complemented by anything that they choose to put on it. So it's a perfect science. I think they've got it down perfectly, and this guitar is the very best example I could hope to give you of all the sensibilities. Okay, so I can't really go any further in this video until we receive more guitars, of course, but I think this basically surmises everything I was trying to say. If you're looking for a brand that you maybe haven't considered before and you want something with a different touch to what the Americans can do, I think Nik Huber are making some incredible guitars. We're going to hope to see a lot more of these. They basically make something for every kind of player, whether you want something really stripped back, classic and simple, like the Twangmeister I showed you right at the start, or the most ornate, fantastic beauty that you've ever seen in guitar form, such as this super hollow model. So hopefully you're going to find something that you like, and hopefully you'll be able to take some information away from this video. I just wanted to stress the most important thing, of course, which I think is the sound. They all sound remarkable, and I wanted to show that off in the best way I possibly could by just plugging straight into the Soldano Super Lead Overdrive 100. I'm using a Strymon Volante delay in the loop as well, so you're going to get some great ideas of clean and distorted tones with these guitars. You really don't need much more than a great amplifier, a little bit of effect maybe, and just really working the controls on these things, understanding how everything works together on these very, very well crafted guitars. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, as always, please like it down below. Comment down there with your thoughts as well. Let me know what you think about Nik Huber Guitars. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Peach Guitars YouTube channel. Tap the bell icon as well so you don't miss out any videos from us. You'll be notified of all of them. And if you want to find out any more information about Nik Huber Guitars or any of the other products in this video, you can do so at peachguitars.com. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.